Now this notification is there, and that's great, but it would be good if eventually it would disappear. And that's something which we can implement. And I want to make sure that it can be removed in two different ways. We can click it, and then it should be removed instantly. Alternatively, there should be a timer which removes it after 3 seconds if it's a success or error notification. Pending notifications should not be removed automatically, let's say. Now, to implement this, we can dive into the notification component and start with the click case, simply by adding on click and doing something when it is clicked. Now, the question is what we want to do if it's clicked. And I would say we want to call hide notification on our context. So I will just use context inside of this component. There's nothing that prevents us from doing that. Just because we show this component because of context does not mean that we can't use context in there. So I'll use the use context hook, which you should import from React. And I'll import the notification context from the store folder and there the notification context file to establish this connection here. And then here we have the notification context object, and now we can use that to hide the notification. Because in our context there is this hide notification function which we can call, which eventually will call this function here. Now, therefore, what we can do in the notification component is we can just bind onClick to notification CTX, so to this notification context object I'm getting from my context here, and then point at the hide notification function. Don't execute it here, so no parentheses, but instead let React execute it for you when that click occurs. That's what we do by pointing at it here. And then with that, if we save this, if I click the notification, it disappears. Shows up again, disappears. So that's working. Now it should also disappear automatically. And for this, we can go back into the notification context, and there we might want to set a timer whenever the notification starts showing up. And that is a perfect use case for a use effect, because that allows us to listen to changes to the notification object and then act when it does change. So here I'll then import use effect and add a new use effect call here and add the use effect function and the dependency array. Now in the use effect function, I want to check if active notification is set and, important, if active notification status is equal to success or if active notification status is equal to error. And I'll wrap that in parentheses so that the first condition must always be met and then either of the two other conditions. So if we have an active notification, then we also perform those checks to make it into this if block if we have an active notification with a status of success and error. If we have no active notification, or if the status is pending, we don't do anything. Now, if we do have this kind of notification though, then I want to set a timer that will eventually remove the notification though. So then here I'll set a timer with set timeout, which will eventually do something. And it should do that after 3 seconds roughly. And what it should do is that it should call set active notification and set this to null. Or to be precise, it should call hide notification handler. We could, of course, also call that function. But I'll just set the active notification to null here. Now I'll return that cleanup function, which useEffect accepts, to clear that timer. So that timer, which I store in this constant, if useEffect reruns before the timer went off, so that we don't have multiple ongoing timers at the same time. So here I'm utilizing this cleanup function of useEffect. All that code here is still in this if block though. If we're not making it in there, useEffect does nothing. Now, since we are relying on the active notification here, And since we want to rerun this effect whenever the active notification changes, I'll add active notification as a dependency here. And with this implemented, it should disappear automatically. If I do register, we see pending, and then success, and after 3 seconds, it disappears automatically. We also don't have any errors here, except for that 500 error from earlier. So that is working. And that is how we use this notification component with React Context for app-wide state management and for giving the users some feedback about this sign-up process. Now I got a challenge for you. We also have this comments area where the user should get some feedback. And here I want you to work on that. When a new comment is added, so when we click submit here, I want you to make sure that we also show this notification with pending, error, and success. And as a bonus task, I want you to show some loading text whilst we're waiting for the comments to be loaded. So there you should not use the notification, but just some loading text whilst we're waiting for that. That's my challenge for you, a little exercise for you. In the next lecture, we're going to implement that together.